So the first thing you'll need to do to decode the Bible stories is to reorient your thinking away from history to symbolism. This knowledge is derived from the ancient Egyptians through the Greek Gnostics. The ancient Egyptians thought from a totally different paradigm than we do today about this knowledge. The ancient symbolism oftentimes expressed ideas that couldn't always be put into words. R.A. Schwaller de Lubitsch was one of the first Egyptologists that could grasp the Medu Neter and decipher it beyond just mere words. He defined ancient Egyptian mythology like this: myth is the means of expression employed by sages who teach the esotericism of the natural facts inexpressible in words. It's the unspoken metaphysical processes that most will miss. We're trained to have the utmost belief in the written word. But when you go beyond the words to connect the symbolic dots is where you'll find a new level of magic and power. The ancient Egyptians started with the idea that everything is created from the one source of all creation. Even this is a shift from the way that we think today. They use the imagery of a tree to express one source with many branches. Today we have a concept of a God as a big human white dude somewhere in the sky waiting for us to slip up so he can banish us to hell. This Western idea of God is also outside of its creation. The ancient Kemetians would say that our modern idea of God is childlike in its thinking. Many people still think that the Egyptians believed in many gods. But the truth is, the monotheism that we know through Judaism, Christianity, and Islam originated in ancient Egypt. But how could that be when we're told Egypt believed in many gods? That's because early Egyptologists misinterpreted the hieroglyphic idea of an Egyptian neter as a god. De Lubitsch was one of the first to set the record straight, but not until the 1950s. In reality, a Kemetic neter is simply an aspect of nature. The Egyptians recognized all aspects of nature as conscious on some level. They simply personified these aspects of nature in their mythology. They weren't worshiping many gods. They were giving us sublimely crafted clues and intricate knowledge to discover. What we know as God as an omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent being, the ancient Egyptians called the neter of neters, or the nature of all nature. Everything in creation is imbued with the Creator. In other words, for the ancient Egyptians, everything in nature is created from the nature of the Creator. God's not separate and apart from its creation like Christianity teaches. Christian theology teaches you to gain a relationship with God, basically in the hope He will treat you right and not send you to hell for eternity. Ancient Egyptian theology was that you were a spark of God in human form, learning to recognize a divine aspect of yourself within to at some point merge back into the one. Over time, ancient Egyptians developed the idea of a Godhead that had three natures in one. We know this Egyptian Godhead today as Amun, Ra, and Ptah. They're all aspects of one creator, not different gods. To understand what they mean by the Godhead, I'll use the analogy of a person that is a woman, a doctor, and a little league soccer coach. It's one woman, but three different aspects of her. The same goes for the Godhead. It's one God and three aspects of it. They were all present at the initial instant of creation of our physical universe. Amun is simply the personification of that which is a mystery or aspect that's incapable of being comprehended by the human brain. Ra is what we might call the Holy Spirit. Ptah is the fire of desire that is present in anything created. Desire is always first, or nothing would be created. The theoretical personification of the idea of the first desire of the Creator to exist, they named Atum. Atum is the Kemetic theory of what opened the noon. The ideas that I expressed are really simplified for brevity's sake. They can be talked about in very detailed and complex ways. but I wanted to give you an idea of how the ancient Egyptians thought of the Creator. If the ancient Egyptians used our terminology today, they would simply say, God is. That would succinctly express the concept that there is nothing in creation that's not an aspect of the Creator. That means that everything on some level is the Creator in another form. That means from a thought to a mountain to a star and you as a human being. You're an incipient god or goddess in training that has the ability to develop powerful skills. This knowledge was meant to take you deeper into your own inner world and explore it so that the illusion of life would no longer have any hold or power over you. The way the ancient idea of illusion has been translated to mean is that something is not real. But that's not how they thought about the concept of this world, or as the matrix as we might call it today. This world is real because we experience it. Anything that we experience is real. But the reason the ancient Africans, Buddhists, and Hindus all call it an illusion is that once you understand the foundational principles of the universal laws, this earthly reality no longer has any power over you. That's the ancient meaning of illusion. The illusion is believing you're powerless. The belief that the world outside of you is somehow disconnected from you and just randomly happening to you. Just as the Creator created the universe, you have the power to create and reshape anything you desire on this earth plane. Just as the Creator created from itself and projected the universe outside, you create from within and project it from outside you. Life is your projection, the illusion. But because it's your projection, you have power over it. How do I know this is true and not just theory? Let's take this idea to a real life example. I had been living a life and doing a job I hated for years when I knew my purpose was to serve others. My inner belief is that if I knew I had a job, I'd have income and I could be supported. I wanted to step out and go on my own and after my own purpose, but I had major doubts about doing my own thing. I could always envision myself making a good income and a job, and I did. But I was living in conflict because doing my own thing was my dream. The conflict I felt inside was being projected outside as my life in a job I hated being paid fairly well for. My conflicted vision was slowly killing me. I got so miserable that I decided to quit and step out on my own and do my own thing. I flopped because in my mind I didn't believe what I wanted to do could support me monetarily. I lost everything I had. I, of course, went back to a job. I knew I could get one easily, and I did. I built up some funds and quit again. I flopped again because I was afraid and conflicted. I lost all I had again. But after that, I got another job because of where my belief was. But then I was faced with that quitting decision a third time. I literally said to myself, I would rather die than go back to a job. That was at the point where I burned the bridge behind me. I had projected outside myself the strong belief in committing to be a servant through my purpose in teaching others, and I have not looked back since. Gaining true knowledge and wisdom through the ancient Kemetic spiritual processes was a key in my life. I lost everything twice as I was working through developing the skills and processes. I could have easily given up. But I knew even when I was down that I was building my Kemetic science skills. The average person believes that when they read a book, they'll somehow gain the skills, or they just don't want to do the work. If you choose either of those options, you'll not live life through your purpose. This is what I know and learned from my experience. If you don't live life from a place of joy and authenticity, you'll fail yourself. That's what living life being miserable means. You're living in conflict with your true purpose. I know because I lived in that space for years. This isn't theory for me. It's my life, my chosen life's work, and my purpose to share this knowledge with you. Is the vision you're creating killing you slowly right now? If you still hold on to ideas that you're a sinner or that you're unworthy for some reason to have everything you desire, your vision of what is possible for you has been compromised. Your whole game of life is what you're projecting right now in this moment. Is it a dream or a nightmare? So, why was Egypt portrayed negatively in the Bible? The answer to that question is simple when you understand the esoteric coded language. It was all about symbolism. First, recognize the Gnostics felt the human body was philosophically at odds with the soul. The belief was that being too enamored with the physical life would keep a soul trapped in the cycle of reincarnation. Therefore, enjoying the human physical experience was seen as a detriment to spiritual advancement. Early Christian fathers adopted the flesh and anti-spiritual concept minus the belief in reincarnation. I mean, who would be afraid of hell if they knew that they would come back? But if you think about it, even today, there is a message to most Christians that you should not enjoy indulging in the flesh. But these mindsets, when drilled into you, go beyond being religious. They become a part of who you are. Do you understand the connection here to feelings of being a sinner or unworthy to live and have the things you want in life? Christianity negatively programmed us to think this way. How does this tie to Egypt? Answer: Egypt was the esoteric code word for being in the underworld and a soul living as a human. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Your belief and or your subconscious belief in that ideology will keep you conflicted and projecting misery outside yourself, just like it did for me. Egypt as the realm of the human underworld was the enemy of spiritual advancement according to Christianity. That's why it was seen as the bad guy. But the truth is, the only way to spiritual experience on this plane is through the human experience. The only way to truly go through the trials and tribulations of your life is through your humanity, loving who you're becoming every day. Don't try to be perfect. Let your life become feedback as to how and what you are to do to live your purpose. That's Kemetic-centered living. When you truly grasp this knowledge, you'll know that it will help you unlearn the old negative programming. And at the same time, you learn as a god and goddess in training how to create on this plane of existence. It goes way beyond trying to be holy, righteous, and not trying to mess up. It's about how you can choose to live life boldly, authentically, unapologetically, and on your terms. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share with anyone that will be consciously elevated and vibrationally uplifted by this.